Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing an overview of the new ABC Light Machine Union support that's going to be coming out in Maze of the Master, released in March. Now, admittedly, this is coming out a little bit earlier because I got my dates mixed up. I thought that this was actually releasing in February, not March. So I've started kind of just madly testing just as I'm just very interested in the ABC support. It's one of my favorite decks of all time for sure. And so I've just started printing off proxies and just testing with the deck and learning combos in preparation. It's still a little while away, but I'm sure time will fly and it'll be here in no time. So I'm going to overview each of the new cards, what they do, and then I'll show you the deck list that I'm currently working with. I don't believe the deck will be tier 1 or anything like that, but it's certainly a deck that you could definitely take to locals, maybe even a regional, and do okay with, especially if you get the build correctly. But in terms of the new cards, we've got the new XYZ retrain. So we've got X Cross Cannon, Y Dragon Yearhead, and we've got Z Zillion Tank. Now, whether or not these are the actual names is to be seen, but each of these are strong in their own right. X is definitely the best one, but Y and Z certainly have some place in the deck as well. So X Cross Cannon, first of all, says if you control a light machine, fusion or union monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it is a free extender if you have any piece. During your main phase, you can equip one appropriate light machine union monster from your deck to this card as if it were equipped by that monster's effects. Also, you get locked out of the extra deck except for lights. So that's a pretty big restriction. Notably, the Fiendsmith cards obviously are all light except for like Caesar, because it's a DDD card. But yeah, so there's definitely some Fiendsmith tie-overs. This deck is going to be a fairly pure deck. I do plan on kind of playtesting more and more of the Fiendsmith stuff. The extra deck is super tight with the Fiendsmith stuff, so that's why it's I've still got to kind of work out what we're going to do. But this card is phenomenal. This is a 1-card combo by itself into a massive board. The board is something like Silo Hat Rabbit, Nightmare Griffin, ABC Dragon Buster, the new XYZ fusion monster. It's crazy. It does everything you want it to do. The follow-up is insane because obviously ABC already has great follow-up in Dragon Buster. And the new XYZ fusion monster is awesome follow-up for the deck as well. So it's pretty crazy. Now, the only issue with the deck itself is that, first of all, it doesn't have much access to X Cross Cannon. B Buster Drake searches Union monsters, so you can't access this through like the normal ABC cards. Union Hanger can't access this either. The only way to access the X Cross Cannon is through one of the new spell cards, which I'll show in a moment, or hard drawing the thing. So it is annoying. It's a crazy, crazy card, but it is currently only accessible through hard drawing it or the new spell card. So you do get 6 copies of it, which is notable, but something to be aware of for sure. But otherwise, yeah, nice extender, great starter. This card all around is just the best card that ABC could use. The Y Dragon Yearhead is probably the second best one. Now, Y and Z are very similar. They both have effects that activate on special summon, not normal summon, so that's important. Special summoning them, is a little bit harder. It's not as, it's a little bit more restrictive. Y Dragon targets a level 4 light machine in the hand or graveyard and equips it to it. And light blocks you as well. And then Zillion Tank does the same thing, but for banished level 4 light machines. So Y Dragon's really fantastic because you can take B Buster Drake out of the graveyard, similar to like Regulus does, equip it to it, and then immediately summon the B, and you just get 2 bodies just like that for free. And none of these, neither of these cards are once per turn at all. Extra Cannon is, but this one's crazy. Neither of these have once per turns on them. So if you can, get a second Y Dragon to the field, or A bounce it back, somehow get it out into the field again, you can use it again to just continuously loop B Buster Drake, which is really nice. You could play both of these as one-ofs. I'm currently playing X at 3, Y at 2, and Z at 1, because the effect to bring back from the graveyard is really important. But the issue is because these cards do nothing by themselves, it's not ideal to be playing them in multiples. I'm playing 2 just for specific combos. It does come up. A second one is okay to have, but I think certainly if I was trying to jam a full Fiendsmith engine into this deck, I wouldn't be playing 2 of this. I'd just play 1 and just cop it if I draw it. And that's going to be the theme overall with the ABC deck in general, is there are a lot of cards you don't want to draw. And this is what's going to hold the deck back really from competitive plays. The number of, brick cards or unideal cards to draw is fairly high. So these two, unideal draws, but fantastic combo extenders if you can get them special summoned. Now, thankfully, the deck does have ways to special summon them. Of course, you can special summon them by, normal summoning X and using its effect to equip it from the deck, and then special it out to the field, and then bring back a piece from the graveyard to equip and then special. So you can do that for sure. Then there's other ways to special summon monsters, but obviously if they're equipped as union monsters, you can special them and that triggers their effect to recur resources. So yeah, I'm currently playing 3X, 2Y, and 1Z, or Z. Then the spell card, Union Activation. Now, admittedly, this card is not good unless you opt to play the brick, which is, again, it's another brick. So if you play X-Head Cannon, and for the life of me, I cannot find my copy of X-Head Cannon anywhere in my house, so that's unfortunate, there's a printed one. But Union Activation says, send a Light Machine normal or Union monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, add one Light Machine monster with the same attack, but a different original name from your deck to your hand, and then it's got effect in the graveyard. If you special summon one Light Machine monster, if you special summon 3 Light Machine monsters at the same time while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a monster with 3,000 or more attack from your deck to your hand, then immediately normal summon it. I think this is just meant to be a little nod to like Obelisk the Tormentor. If you play one copy, you banish this out, tribute summon Obelisk. It's pretty cool. But I'm not playing any cards with 3,000 more attack for this effect. One thing you could, I guess, do in theory is if you were playing a hand-trapped version, you could banish this, get Nibiru, and tribute summon Nibiru. Don't know why, but it triggers your pieces in the graveyard if you want to do that. But it's not an effect that I'm using. There are cute things you can do with it, like Immortal Phoenix Gearfree is a monster that obviously you can tribute summon. It's got a negation effect if you have equipped cards, but you don't often end up with like the unions equipped in your combos. You can. There's definitely ways to make yourself do that, but you don't always do that. So Union Activation is bad if you don't play X-Head Cannon, because you send X-Head Cannon to search for X-Cross Cannon. The other thing you can do with Union Activation is you can send B to the graveyard, which is nice. Having B in the graveyard is pretty good because then you get to add either Y or Z, because they're both 1,500 attack. So you can access these through B Buster Drake, which is some good synergy. You don't have to play any additional cards for this. B in the graveyard's good with some of, again, with these pieces is nice. But yeah, this is the card you want to search, and so you have to play this, which again, not ideal, but I just think this card is so crazy to not play. You just get it as a free extender. Equipping from the deck is insane. So I think it's worth to play 3 and 3 and 1 brick, or 1 additional brick in addition to the number of other bricks the deck is already playing. So that's those two. Then for the fusions, we have XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon. This uses the new X, Y, and Z monsters. It works the exact same way as Dragon Buster. You banish them from the graveyard to summon itself, except this card is a lot more... it's got almost the same effects. It's got a quick effect during the opponent's turn to discard a card and target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. So notably, Dragon Buster discards and banishes as a quick effect during either turn. So this is opponent's turn only. Dragon Buster's opponent's turn only effect was the tag out effect, whereas the effect, the tag out effect on this one is crazy good. It's an ignition effect, so you can't do it as a quick effect, so you can't dodge things. If you choose to leave this on your opponent's field, yes, it is vulnerable, but in the graveyard, this card is really good. Essentially, you can use this to avoid tagging out Buster. Now, unfortunately, because this is level 9, you can't use itself for its effect. So what its effect says is you can banish this card from your field or graveyard and reveal 1 level 8 Light Machine Fusion monster in your extra deck. Special summon up to 3 materials whose names are mentioned on that monster from your graveyard and or banishment. So notably, it says up to 3, which is fantastic because if you've got locked up zones, you can just summon back 2 of your pieces. But really, the only thing you can reveal is another copy of Dragon Buster. But essentially, what you can do, in theory, is if you end with both of these on the field, or this in the graveyard, because you might want to link it off for link material, you can banish it from the graveyard. You can bring back from banishment A, B, C. I mean, you could just equip them all immediately, right? And now you've got a Towers Dragon Buster that is banishing cards in your opponent's turn. and then you're getting more resources as these float. So you can do that, or you just get 3 bodies that you can immediately link off into something else, which definitely comes up in lines where you get Nibiru'd or anything like that. Being able to use this to just throw 3 more bodies on the field post Nibiru means you can pretty much end on the full board regardless of Nibiru. So Nibiru is one thing that, and again, there's probably a better spot to hit the deck with Nibiru, but if you wait too long, like if you wait to a point where they've already got X, Y, and Z in rotation, it's easy enough to just get this out and bring all of these back to keep playing. So that's really nice. But otherwise, you can just leave this on the field. This is a quick effect, just discard and pop. This is a quick effect, discard and banish, and they're both great interruptions. And then if this does get outed, then you get follow-up. Obviously, you can tag the Buster out to get follow-up, but you cannot recur X, Y, and Z because you can't reveal this in your extra deck, 'cause it's level 9. So it's another reason why I'm playing a second Y in the list, is because Y is fantastic recursion. The last new card is Union Controller. Must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards you control. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can add 1 spell trap from your deck that mentions Union Monster in its text. So you can search things like Union Hanger, you can search the new spell, and you can search unauthorized reactivation. These are the best 3 cards to search. There's a couple of like trap cards like Union Scramble. One of the trap cards is interesting. I'm considering playing it as like a thrust target, but again, it's just another card you don't want to draw, so it's probably not the best thing to play. But essentially it says draw cards equal to the number of like light machine fusions you control. So if you end on the 2 fusions, you get to draw 2 cards as it's on field effect. And in grave, and this is where it's interesting, but in graveyard, you can banish the trap to shuffle up to 6 light machine monsters that are banished into your deck, which is great because it allows you to recur X, Y, and Z, which the deck can struggle to do just natively. So they're the new cards. The other effect of this is that once per turn, you can special summon a light machine, normal, or Union monster from your hand. So this just gives you a way of triggering Y or Z mainly to keep extending your plays. But they're the new cards. So we've got the 2 fusions and the spell, plus the X, Y, and Z, and now I'll show you the deck that I'm kind of working with. Okay, so this will be the current deck list that I'm working with. It's a 42 card main deck with 15 non-engine spots. I'm opting for breakers at the moment, but you could definitely play hand traps. The other thing I was doing for a long time is actually playing it at 45, just with 3 more non-engine cards, so 18 in a 45 card deck. Just because of the number of cards in this deck that you don't really want to draw. So I'm trying to like offset that with a higher deck count. The only issue is, of course, is the dip in consistency. So this is 42 cards. Our non-engine cards also help for consistency. So things like Talents and Thrust to kind of help play going second. But yeah, the deck will struggle to go second because none of the cards like in engine typically are very disruptive. You've kind of got to get to Dragon Buster before you can start really like doing big things to your board. You're relying on your extra deck and actually comboing off. So I'll show the deck as it is. So 3 X Cross Cannon. As I said, this is the 1 card starter. It's an extender as well. This card is the best thing ever. I'm playing 2 Y Dragon Yearhead. I think if we were really focusing on consistency, we could definitely take one of these out. It's just something that I'm trying because the recursion of this card to pull back Bs and things is really, really great. It also means you can open up Y and unauthorized and just do the full combo. Essentially, any of the Union monsters plus unauthorized reactivation is a 2 card combo. X Cross Cannon is a 1 card combo. Just the 1 Zillion tank, like by itself, if you special summon this, you've already got to be playing the game before this card becomes good. Then for the old ABC pieces, playing 2A, the recursion of A is really great. But again, I think you could get away with 1. So I'll show you what you could certainly get away with and then adjust it for like the Fiendsmith engine. 3B, again, does nothing on its own, but at the end of the day, like light machines is a monster that you can just slap on the field and special X out. I mean, X obviously normal summon by itself is already really good, but means that X can get interrupted and you can keep playing. 1C as well. C's effect just isn't, again, it's just not as impactful as it could be. But if you were modifying just these numbers in general, I think you could get away with 2B, 1A, and 1Y. And you could definitely get away with this as kind of like the bare bones. And in a Fiendsmith variant, this is probably what it will look like when I do show off a bit of a Fiendsmith variant of this deck as well. So that's what you could play. This is what I'm currently playing, just because more light machines is okay when you're playing a card like unauthorized reactivation. So this card essentially does Union Hanger's effect if you already have the light machine you would have searched off Union Hanger. So if you don't know what this card does, it says target a machine you control. Equip an appropriate machine union from your hand or deck to that monster, but it cannot be summoned by its effect this turn. So that's why you've got to do like the Union Driver tag out thing, but it's essentially Union Hanger, but you need to already have a light machine. So it works really well with any of the pieces. It's a 2-card combo. This plus any of the unions does the same thing. But yeah, so you could get away with 3 less. I'm currently playing them in the deck. But as I said, like all of these, right? All these cards, they're not fantastic by themselves. And that's the thing. The key takeaway with this deck is you've got to play a lot of cards that by themselves don't do anything. I know in 2024, that's a really, 2025, it's just an important feature of our current Yu-Gi-Oh decks that all of our cards kind of do something. And it's why this deck is probably not going to be anywhere in the meta, but yeah. Then for the 2 bad cards, Union Driver and X-Head Cannon, this is okay to draw because you can still, your spell's still live, but if this is in your hand, it's just, you don't get to use that effect. You can, unless it's this. So this can get it out of the hand on 20 monsters, but Union Hanger can't do that. But you kind of have to play them. So that's why I'm playing 42 cards, 45 cards even. That's why I'm considering that option. I mean, you could go even crazier and play like a super heavy Samurai engine. Yes, you're adding 2 bricks, but you're adding 6 more starters. Go to 50 cards, I don't know. These are all things that I've been kind of just mucking around with. Then we're playing 2 Galaxy Soldier. Drawing it is okay because you're playing lots of lights, but you can access this in extra deck because of the light restriction. It gets you to infinity, which really just, again, forces your opponent to Nibiru you at a certain point, at which point, like if they wait to nib as long as it takes before you get to like Nova, they're losing. Like the Nibiru is doing nothing, except preventing infinity, but you still get the rest of the board. Then for our big plays, our 1-card starters, Union Hanger does the whole thing by itself. Union Activation does the whole thing by itself. And Unauthorized Reactivation does the whole thing with 1 other light machine. So for a 2-card combo, and then of course Terraforming does the whole thing by itself. This deck does lose to draw quite substantially. The other really cool thing about Unauthorized, and this is a card that you don't necessarily have to play. Like if I was playing, again, this Fiendsmith variant that I'm talking about, I'd probably forego this altogether, or maybe just play 1 copy as a searchable card off of the enemy controller fusion monster, because you can search it just as a one-of. This card's really good at stopping hand traps as well. Because let's say you go, I'll take these cards out of the way. So this card is defensive, it's offensive, it's a combo starter, it's really strong. If you go normal summon X cross cannon and they activate impermanence to stop that, which is pretty strong. I mean, impermanence at any point on any of your machines, whether it's this or the enemy controller, if you chain unauthorized reactivation, you can equip C Crush Wyvern from your deck, and C makes the monster unaffected by traps. Similar if it's Veiler, chain A, put an A on it, and it's unaffected by monster effects. So unauthorized reactivation is kind of a little bit like Call by the Grave in that you can dodge hand traps. That's why I'm currently testing it at 3 copies. But I think in a more streamlined version, if I was trying to be really, really competitive, I'd probably just cut this to 1 as a searchable thing off of the enemy controller and play the full Fiendsmith package, and just, yeah, it's the extra deck that's going to require some work. I'm playing 1 Angel Statue Azurin. Again, not a card you want to draw, but it's part of the end board. Light monsters, things we can summon. Sillerhat Rabbit is a light monster, so that all works out really nice. This is just something that we can summon and use as a light end board piece. And it diversifies the end board, puts something into the spell trap zone where everything else is in the monsters. So it's a good thing to play, I think. And then the non-engine, you can play whatever you want. This is just 15 pieces of paper printed off. You know, this is just for testing. That's why they're all proxies. But these are just board breakers. Obviously, Talents and Thrust help with engine. Fugalos helps with engine. So like going second, these cards are all really good in engine. Talents can still, you know, smash its way through hand traps, making you draw more cards if you need to see more engine potentially. Thrust can get you to Terraforming or to Union Activation. So these cards obviously are 1-card combos. Thrust helps going second for that. Or if you get Bestialed on something, you can use this to grab the extender in X Cross Cannon and keep playing. Or Terraforming can get you to Union Hanger, of course. But that's the main deck. That's 42 cards. Is 42 enough to offset all the bricks but also maintaining consistency? Maybe. We'll see. The current extra deck is 2 Buster. I think 2 is fine. You want 1 in the extra deck to be able to reveal off XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon. We're only playing this at 1 because, again, like I said, recurring X, Y, and Z is really, really hard. And I don't want to play multiples of the X, Y, and Z in terms of, especially the Z. We don't want to play multiples of that. But 2 Buster is fantastic. I'm playing 1 of the Union Controller as well. Then for the XYZ monsters, we're playing Nova and Infinity because we can access them through Galaxy Soldier, which we get through this. This is Galaxy Photon Dragon. It's a rank 4. It's already out. I've got it coming in the mail. But it's just a generic rank 4 that adds a Galaxy or Photon card or monster. I don't know exactly what it does, but it adds Galaxy Soldier to the hand. So this is really good. We play heaps of rank 4, level 4s. This is a light. Gets you Galaxy Soldier, gets you to Infinity. It just puts your opponent in a spot where they can't just hold Nibiru until the very, very end. Because if you get Nibiru while you've got Dragon Buster and XYZ, it's not as ideal. Like, you lose these. You can obviously banish this to bring back the ABC pieces, but now you're down to like summoning this again, and you're like your long game gets significantly impacted. You still get to end on Buster, but if you put the negate on the field where they have to use Nibiru, then you get to the full board. So that's why I think it's important to play that. Then this is kind of a flex spot, but I'm trying to play molds, mainly just like light monsters in general, because you get restricted into lights. And I want my extract to be mostly live at all times. So Goddess is just a really good card to play. We spam bodies like it's no tomorrow, so this is a really awesome option. And then Nightmare Griffin is one of the main end board pieces of this deck. Yes, I know, Disgusting Floodgate, but it's really, really strong. It's a light, we can summon it. I mean, these are both light fiends as well, so Fiendsmith synergy, of course, is real, but yeah, Griffin is fantastic. Then pretend this is SB Little Knight. It's in my normal deck, but these are the only 2 monsters that are not light, but I think IP into SP are both really good. You can sometimes stick an IP before starting to combo. Is that worth it? Probably not, I don't think. Like, your end board's already super strong. You've got the Silver Hat Rabbit, you've got Buster, you've got XYZ, you've got Griffin, like, and Infinity, if there's no Nibiru, right? So your end board is already like so strong. If you get to that point, it's just the hand traps along the way that are going to slow you down. So I don't know if the IP SP thing is worth it. SP is probably definitely always worth it, but IP not necessarily needed. Phoenix is another one. Sorry, this is not a light monster either. This is just spell trap removal in the extra deck. I know we've got Silver Hat Rabbit, but it's a much more situational. One thing you could play in this spot, it's not spell trap removal, but it is actually just Moon of the Closed Heaven. I know this version is not playing Fiendsmith, but you could just play this as a card to help get into Goddess. It's removal in a sense, but I don't know. Cerberus is Phoenix Approach is fine. Then we've got Rabbit. Platinum Gadget is essential for combos, and Liner just being a generic light link too. It's good going second, of course, but also just going. It's helpful to clean up the board a little bit before we make a Griffin. But that is the extra deck. Now, I will show one card combo, and then probably in a future video I'll do some more combos and some test hands as well. Okay, so this is a 1-card combo involving X-Cross Cannon. We're going to start off with a normal summon of the X-Cross Cannon, and we're going to use its effect to equip from our deck B Buster Drake. We're then going to use B Buster Drake's effect to special summon itself to the field, and we can immediately link summon into Platinum Gadget. We're going to get the B Buster Drake effect to search, and we're going to grab Y Dragon Earhead. Platinum Gadget's effect is going to special summon Y from the hand, which is going to equip B from the graveyard. B can special summon itself again, and now we can take Platinum Gadget and Y, we can banish them in order to summon the Union Controller. From here, we get Union Controller's effect to add a card that mentions Union Monster from deck to hand, which is going to be Union Hanger. We'll activate Union Hanger, and we're going to use its effect to grab Zillion Tank. Union Controller's effect is going to special the Zillion Tank, which is going to trigger its effect and Hanger's effect. So Chunning 1, Chunning 2. Hanger will equip from the deck Union Driver, and Zillion Tank is going to equip Y Dragon Yearhead as well. Now we're going to use driver, get rid of it, in order to equip another B Buster Drake. This B can special summon itself. Y can also special itself, but we want to just kind of hang on to it and get another B into the, if we get B into the graveyard, we can just keep plussing this way. So we'll special out the B, and we can take these two Bs and we can link them off into Silo Hat Rabbit. Oops, there goes the extra deck. The Silo Hat Rabbit is going to activate as well as the two Bs, so we can go B1, B2, and Silo Hat Rabbit. It's going to set Angel Statue to the field, and Bs are going to search an A and a C. Now we can take Y, special summon it from the spell trap zone, use its effect to equip a B, which we can similarly special summon as well. Now we can take our two pieces, overlay into our Photon Galaxy Dragon, whatever its name is, and use its effect. We're going to search for Galaxy Soldier. We can pitch a piece to the graveyard to summon out Galaxy Soldier, triggering the effect of Galaxy Soldier. We can go again. And now we can take the two Galaxy Soldiers and of course make Nova and Infinity. So even if our opponent like waits this long to Nibiru, there's probably a better spot earlier. I haven't tested that extensively. But there's definitely an earlier spot, I'm sure, that's better. But if they Nibiru now, it's not good. But from here, we are going to just consolidate our bodies a little bit. So we've already got ABC in the graveyard. We're going to leave it there. That's the last thing we'll do. But we need Zillion Tank in the graveyard. So we're going to take B and the Galaxy Photon Dragon. We're going to link into Liner. This could be Moon of the Closed Heaven if you played that as well. We're going to then trigger the B to search. We can grab A or B, it doesn't really matter. A is really good for, further recursion if we need to. But then we're going to banish X, Y, and Z from the graveyard. And this is going to summon out XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon. Now, again, this is on field as a disruption, but we can just use it as a body in this case. So we're going to link all of that off for Nightmare Griffin. If we had a spell trap in the graveyard, we could obviously use Griffin. If we start with Union Activation, we can just get this back, which is fine. We don't get to draw, so you have to determine if the cards in your hand are worth that, but could be. We can obviously just pitch off the A if we want to. And then we can go ahead and use A, B, and C to summon out Buster. And put it there. So that's the end board with A in hand. Now you could make this stronger if you want to, right? If you want to sacrifice a little bit of that follow-up, you could actually take the XYZ and banish it now, right? And you could summon out from banishment the two things that you think your opponent's going to have the most of. So is it A and B to protect from monsters and spells? It's probably. So they get summoned and you can use both of their effects to equip themselves to Buster. So now you've got a Buster that is, immune to monsters and spells. It can quick effect banish, like it's basically Masterpiece, except it can't tag out. And that's going to be the thing you have to weigh up is it worth being able to tag out Buster? I think it usually is. I think this part is overkill because the other thing is, if your opponent Nibiru's you earlier, you can just banish this. You can use the 3 pieces plus the Nibiru token to make Griffin again, if you can stick a link 2 up top. So that's pretty strong. But yeah, that's the 1-card combo. That's the way that I've been kind of opting to play. I think I've just been focusing around Nightmare Griffin as kind of the main piece, and then working from there. There's other things you can do. Obviously, Theory King Regulus is an option. You can play Talk Tune Gear, which is another card you don't want to draw, but you could use Talk Tune Gear and Union Controller to make Ancient Fairy Dragon, which gets you to this Colosseum, which gets you to Regulus, which means you could maybe forego the Infinity stuff if you want to, which means you're cutting out, you're essentially like swapping 2 Galaxy Soldier for the Therion engine plus the Talk Tune Gear. I actually really like just having the Galaxy Soldiers as generic extenders in the deck. I think they're better when you play hand traps, right? You could play Ghost Ogres, Effect Veilers, Nibiru's yourself, and then Galaxy Soldier has a lot more targets to hit out of hand. I've even thought about playing a third Galaxy Soldier just because seeing it is not terrible. But yeah, that's the end board. Like I said, follow-up is crazy. We've got 4 other cards in hand. So we've obviously got a discard for Buster. The follow-up from Buster is great. We can keep the Buster around always and just use this if we want to. If the Buster gets outed before we can tag it out, like a Kaiju over the top of it, then yeah, we've got this to follow up the plays. But that's going to be it for this video. It's a little bit of a longer one, but I'm super hyped for the new ABC support. I cannot wait for it to be here, and I'll catch you in the next one.